Well, first of all, I want to welcome everybody. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce international chef, celebrity Jason Roberts.
Hey, Nancy, Nana.
We have a brand new cookbook out, and we understand it's just 3 days in your hot hands off the press.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Good Food Fast was actually a very quick entity for myself. So I thought it was important to share my journey with my gluten freedom. And the nice thing is when you flick through this book, you would think it's just an average cookbook, or sort of not an average cookbook, but but a regular cookbook in the sense that it looks like I'm not missing anything, and focus on all the wonderful colors that Mother Nature has for us.
One of the things that you're here to do for our audience, and in the audience today is a variety of ages of our seniors, and I hope everybody doesn't mind me sharing the ages because I think it's an incredible thing.
20, 21, 23, 22.
Right? I have my grandmother here who's 103, will be 103 in May.
Wow.
In our audience, we also have 100, 91, 80-year-olds, and a few 70-year-olds, all of whom are here to find out how they can prepare healthy, quick, nutritious meals that are on a budget and easy to do.
I don't believe you need to cut your costs and cut the quality of ingredients that you're using either.
So what are some of the recipes that you're going to be preparing today?
I thought today, as far as food, and I guess being conscious, I mean, as you progress in life, some things you might find you have ailties with. I found I was getting arthritic issues when I was 22. I can only imagine that as you get older, it gets harder to cut certain things like a pumpkin or a squash or shave fennel or hold a heavy pan. So I thought today maybe I might try something where we're just stirring. And most of the time now you can buy ingredients. If you're not able to cut certain things, you can buy those things pre-cut for you at the supermarket. And maybe a recipe says finely dice the onions for a soup and you're going to puree it anyway. You don't really have to finely cut them because it's going to be blended in the food processor anyway. So just being conscious of those things. Then I thought maybe a risotto, something that's got some carbohydrate value. It's rice, some wonderful flavors, a little bit of cheese through that. And then the other was fish in a bag. Now I like cooking fish, full stop, but fish in a bag is a good one. First and foremost, because there's much less cleanup, because I'm a big fan of not having to wash up.
Cleanup, do we?
No, cleanup's not fun. And not to mention, some people don't like the idea of smell, the fish smell wafting through their house. So you actually encase the fish and you bake it in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, and it comes out. And the whole idea is you open it at the table and you get the smell of the fresh fish and whatever the other ingredients you've used for it. So I thought these were accessible, fun, easy.
All right, well, let's get rolling on this butternut squash. That sounds great to me. So what can we do to...
All right, so for this, I'm just going to heat the onions through to cook them to a little bit translucent. Olive oil is a great way to sort of just lubricate the bottom of the pan. Doesn't necessarily have to be an extra virgin olive oil, just a regular olive oil. But you could use a rice bran oil, you could use a canola oil. It's just basically to help start sweating those onions just till they're soft and translucent. Don't have to really add any color. But if you did add color, you're just adding another layer of flavor. And then, the nice thing about soup though is that you add all this liquid to it and you just let it boil away till it's soft and then you puree it. Soup is definitely one of those things you could take any ingredient and make soup into. So I find this is just a good way to use up your leftovers, and definitely something that keeps, freezes well, and always a great last minute meal if you make enough ahead.
And it keeps, with all of the liquid in, it keeps us hydrated. And again, another issue we know with aging.
Yeah.
We tend to lose a lot of our fluid. We get dehydrated long before we ever feel a sense of thirst.
Yep.
And so using the liquid-based recipes like soup is another great way for seniors to stay hydrated.
The other thing, guys, I wanted to share with you about the soup as well was I can imagine as you get older, oh gosh, I feel it some days too, just even lifting a heavy pan. It does get a bit exhausting. A soup, you don't even need to lift your pan. It's one of those one-pot wonders where everything goes straight in the pan. So we're fortunate enough and we didn't have to, cut through this squash or the pumpkin.
Well, actually, Nana did it all last night.
Nana, you darling.
You that squash for me last night.
Making my life easier, huh? So what I added to this, I'm obviously just adding water. I could add chicken stock if I wanted to, but there's so much great flavor in onions and pumpkin themselves. And then I can add more. I'll only add what I need now, but I can actually add more liquid if I need to thin it out. The other ingredient I added was just fresh thyme. What I'm going to do with this risotto, generally you would finely dice the onions and cook them out. But do you know what? For the sake of, I have some sliced onions. Let's just use those sliced onions. We're not going to waste anything, right? The onions will break down, and if anything, they'll have a slightly different texture. Once again, the whole idea is just to sweat the onions. And I think for a different flavor profile, we'll grab some rosemary. I'm going to throw some cloves of garlic in there. And when you cook something out, like you do a risotto for 15 to 20 minutes, it's actually not as necessary to finely dice it. It was easier for you and you weren't using a lot. If you had crushed garlic in a jar already, you'd use a couple of tablespoons of it. So what I did, I cooked the onions. They were translucent, so they were soft. I added the rosemary. We're cooking with the garlic and the olive oil.
Did you put salt in there?
No, do you know what? And here's the reason why. You'll find if you're using a chicken stock, in general, sometimes they have a salt additive already. And what happens is when you're cooking the risotto and the moisture content reduces, the flavor increases. So don't add salt to your risotto till last. So the whole idea is to add it slowly, so you cook it out really slowly. Generally, for every cup of risotto, you'd use, say, roughly about 4 cups of liquid. So risotto generally was going to take you 20 minutes. Now I did want to get onto the fish. So we have, wow, you caught all this tilapia, Nana?
Yeah.
Wow.
Caught it. She went fishing yesterday.
I cut all of it.
You did a great job. You filleted
And filleted.
I did a great job, it's right.
You did a beautiful job. So fish in a bag. So the whole idea is you really only want to have to cook the fish. If you were to stick a raw potato in there, you'd have to wait 40 minutes to cook the potato. So we cook the potatoes in advance. Potatoes are another one of those things. Rather than cook 2 for a recipe, cook the whole bag because they'll keep well in the fridge. Reheat them, bake them in the oven.
So we have sliced up potatoes that were cooked in advance, like parboiled.
Yep, so I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil to the top of that. And then this just becomes a little salad that goes on top of the, underneath the fish before we wrap it. So what I'll do is I'll wrap the first one to give you an idea. Take a piece of fish. Oh, we could just do one. I think one's enough on that.
Okay.
Let's take a little more seasoning. You're going to pass me a little bit more of that olive oil, Laurie. And then take the lemon. Take a bit of olive oil straight over the fish. So this helps keep the fish moist whilst it's cooking. You could use a little bit of white wine if you wanted to instead of the lemon juice. Then
Drink or to put on the fish?
both.
Okay.
You know, you crack a bottle open, you do a little bit for the fish, a little bit for me. And then what we do is we make a pleat at the top of the fish and we roll it down. Then we roll it down a little bit closer again. The whole idea is we're just rolling this down. And then what we do is we take one side and we fold it underneath. We take the other. So then what you have is this nice little parcel. Let's just say you're doing a dinner party for your family. You could actually do this in advance. You could do 10, 15 pieces. And then they just go in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes at about 400. So our risotto's our risotto's ready. I'm going to turn that off. Our soup just needs to be pureed. This is fontina cheese, which is a northern Italian cheese. It's like a mozzarella in the sense that it melts very well too. So what I'll do is I'll just dice it and you'll find the cheese will melt.
And then he's going to put that in the risotto.
Straight in the risotto.
Oh, you're putting that in.
Straight in the risotto so it starts to melt.
Wow.
And it's going to give that creamy, right? So it looks like we're putting in the cheese, the fontina, and the Parmesan.
So at this point I can take the rosemary out, it's done its job. What I'm going to do is just add a little bit more stock just to thin it out so it's a little bit softer in consistency. Laura, I'm just going to put together a little salsa. Maybe I can do that in here.
Alright.
So we have the mint, I'm going to take a little bit. So the soup, like a way to jazz it up is I make this thing called salsa regresto. It's not unlike a pesto, but it has walnuts, almonds. I'll take the mint here first. The idea of adding the mint and the herbs first is because I want the nuts to actually add a textural element. But if I added the almonds and the walnuts first and puree them, we'll end up with a puree of nuts. Oh. I like the texture that it's going to offer. So this is arugula or rockets. You could use baby spinach. So the whole idea with the oil, and you probably saw me put quite a bit of oil in it. You're not going to. This is not just for one person, but this is to share amongst everyone. And it's to anoint it, but also help puree everything. So I added the lemon juice. So this could be a little bit noisy.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, so now we've got the green mixture of the arugula and the mint. So the mint is like a sweet minty flavour. And then now, I'm going to add some of the walnuts, some of the almonds. So we want the nuts to say,
I'm here.
yeah, and there you go.
I'm here.
I was thinking you're right. I want the nuts to stay present in this sauce, but you're saying I'm here.
Yeah.
I got it. So this was the butternut squash, onions, chicken stock. And we add a little bit of fresh thyme to this. So the whole idea of the soup is when you break into the soup that you take some of that the nuts and the mint with it. You don't just have the pumpkin soup itself, but when you drag some of the green through on top, it creates other elements of flavour. You can buy like a pre-bought pesto or tapenade or olive paste and do exactly the same thing. So it's just a way of jazzing up a humble soup. So this is the fennel. This is going to go through a little salad. So I'm just going to thinly slice it.
All right, so the question was what all went in here. Was there onion or is it just the head of fennel?
Just the head of fennel. No, because there was some shallots there. I thought I'd add those as well. No point wasting them. I added lemon juice. Now I'm adding some olive oil. So this is the dressing and the garnish to the salad. We're going to do the zucchini raw. Okay, and zucchini actually has a wonderful flavour to it. So we need salt in here to help break down, not just only for flavour, but it helps soften everything. So then the parsley. I like to keep the parsley whole. And then when you get further down to where the stems are, then you can do that a little bit smaller. So here's my thought. So if we want to bring, we'll bring the fish over. Maybe let's do Nana's one first.
All right.
Then we can.
Nana will go first.
Okay. So Nana, you're going to go first, all right?
Yeah, you're going to be first.
So here's the way we would serve
Whoever's
this.
the oldest gets to go first.
Whoever's the most cutest. That's actually generally the way it goes.
Yeah, that's right.
So here's what we do. So the fish is cooked in a bag like this. You can see. So we've cooked it for probably about 12 to 15 minutes. So all the moisture and everything's still contained within the fish, and the whole idea is when it comes to the table, you can actually just open the bag, you tear the bag open, and then what happens is the flavour is released directly in front of you. So this is part of almost like a Gueridon service when you get that smell. So the whole idea is to heighten the senses. Now you can either serve it in the bag like this and eat sort of way around it, but what I would do, and then just straight over top, a little bit of the salad. And then that's pretty much it. So you can keep it in the bag, you just sort of eat around the bag, or you can just scoop. We'll take this out for you, Nana, okay? The whole idea is either in the bag, or just slide the fish off the bag onto a plate. Then you got the salad, and just pour any of those juices back on the fish, okay?
Okay.
Is that good?
Okay.
But you'll find the fish is just under there.
Very good.
All right, spin up.
That's good.
Bon appetit.
Well, I want to thank you very much for coming here and spending your time with all of us, sharing some amazing recipes. It's been great having you. Thank you so much for being here.
Mwah. Nana, I get a kiss too, right? Mwah. I think I would like to just finish this off too, and I was very fortunate. I started my career when I was 18. I felt like I reached the pinnacle of my career when I was 23, which was clearly not the case, because I think you reach the pinnacle of your career when you realize what you do is not about you. It's the people you serve. So thank you guys for having me here, and thank you for allowing me to reminisce and have some nostalgia.
Thank you for being with us, ladies. This is the best fish I ever had.
Aww. And it only took 103 years to get it.
Right.